Hey, it's meteorologist Corey Reppenhagen here with a look at your forecast for today. It'll be another warm, sunny day, but we'll have to describe it as somewhat cooler than what's coming down the pike. So I think we could briefly hit 90 degrees here in the Denver area, although we will have quite a bit of moisture rolling in above us, which means cloud cover, but probably not too much in the way of any rain. So take a look at the forecast high temperatures. We're already looking at the forecast high temperatures. So here we have 90 degrees. I think we could possibly hit 90 degrees here along the front range. Mostly characterize this as a day in the upper 80s, because I think if we do hit 90, it'll just be very briefly. Same thing for the eastern plains. Most of the eastern plains and southeast plains, I think, will just barely start to brush into the 90s, and that's just the beginning of what's to come. I think the impactful heat wave that's coming will start on Thursday, so we'll have a couple of days in the low 90s here as we go through today and tomorrow. Out on the western slope, the heat wave is pretty much already here. Have some temperatures in the middle 90s to 100 degrees, especially out there in the southeast desert of Utah near Moab. So we're looking at the heat just starting to come our way. I think we could see some heat advisories on the western slope by tomorrow. Here's the Denver forecast. You see the timeline going up there to about 90 degrees this afternoon. Cloud cover will increase as the moisture starts to kind of encompass the area, but you don't see any raindrops on this timeline, and that's because the chances for getting measurable rain is less than 10%. So we kind of leave those off of there in a situation like this. And here's the computer forecast model futurecast showing this afternoon by about 2 o'clock we start to see a few rain showers develop in the area. These are very isolated and very light in nature. So I think as we go through the day here, we'll push this through the afternoon hours. You can see another shower being indicated in the Denver area around 5:30. So in between this time frame, generally what's going to happen here is that moisture will condense and start to fall, but there's so much dry air below it, and it's falling from such a height that most of the rain will evaporate as it falls. And so what you end up getting on the ground is just a few drops of rain, which is not measurable rain. So I think maybe 40% of us could get a few drops, but only about less than 10% of us will actually get measurable precipitation. And that's what those rain chances that we call probability of precipitation actually means, is the measurable rain, which is about 1/100th of an inch or more. So it's mostly just drops of rain, but that cloud cover could cool us off. And if it comes in early enough and stays persistent enough, it could even keep our temperatures below 90 degrees. But I think we're in for still a pretty warm day, generally characterized as dry, even though we will have some cloud cover and a few drops of rain throughout the day. And then it clears out in the overnight hours, which leaves us with some sunny blue skies again on Wednesday morning, and that'll set the stage for a little bit of a warmer day. I don't think we'll have too much trouble hitting 90 on Wednesday, and we could stay above 90 degrees for several hours. So unlike today where we just briefly touch 90, I think we'll characterize tomorrow as a true 90-degree day, and that'll be the first 90, unless we hit 90 today as well, that will be a stretch of about 9 days in a row where we'll have 90-degree weather here in Denver. During this heat wave that's coming, I think the mountains will be your salvation. Places like Leadville might not even break 80 degrees during this heat wave. Just the one thing to keep in mind with the high country is when you get up to 10,000 feet, there's very little atmosphere to protect you from the solar radiation. So sometimes an 80 in Leadville will feel like a 90, 95 in Denver, and you can get a sunburn in less than 10 minutes in the high country. So that's the only difference, although the actual air temperature will feel much better during this heat wave. And out there on the western slope, this heat wave is going to be high impact out there as well. We could even see excessive heat warnings issued by the National Weather Service in Grand Junction. That's something that's only happened one other time in history. Usually we get heat advisories here in Colorado, which is just a little bit of a lesser extent of a heat warning, but excessive heat warnings, which they've been dealing with out on the western part of the United States, that could actually move over to the western slope of Colorado. We have on the look at the satellite and radar picture out there towards our east, that's the remnants of what used to be Tropical Cyclone Beryl, and that's already moved way up into the Midwest parts of the United States, headed into the Great Lakes region there, with some heavy rain showers moving through the St. Louis area at this moment. And so that system is really starting to accelerate and weaken as it moves off to the northeast. And then to our west, you see that's the heat wave. All those areas marked in, shaded in red there, those are the excessive heat warnings that are out there. And you can see that they're gradually creeping their way towards the east. They're now in Utah and Arizona, so it'll only be another day or two. I think tomorrow we'll see them on the western slope, and then on starting Thursday we'll start to see probably heat advisories here in eastern Colorado, including the Front Range. So another way we'd like to track the heat of the summer is by the number of 90-degree days that are accumulated. So far we have 18. So we're already well on our way to breaking through that average of 46 90-degree days per summer. Hopefully we don't come anywhere near that ridiculous 75 number in 2020. But if you think about it, we had 16 in June, which means we had a 90-degree day about every other day. So far in July, we've only had 2, and that's thanks to a series of cold fronts that came through early on in the month. But we could add 9 or 10 more 90-degree days over this heat wave stretch, which would get us up to 28. And last year we only had 38 the entire year. So I think if we start to accumulate them in batches of 5 to 10, then I think we could start to see, we could start to threaten that record. So we'll have to wait and see how August looks. Right now the early forecast is for another hotter than normal August, but so far not as excessive as what we've seen in June and July. So at least there's some good news on the horizon, where August has a possibility of just shaving off a few of those 90-degree days. So we'll have to wait and see how all that develops. This is that heat wave. The high pressure there that's seen in the darker shaded of red out to our west moves all the way towards Colorado and covers the entire state by Friday. So we're looking at upper 90s by Thursday, and then this heat wave looks like it's going to last an extended period of time, which means we could be above 95 degrees for 5 consecutive days. Here you see it on the 7-day forecast there. We have 96 on Thursday. Very good chance that we hit 100 degrees here in Denver, not once, but multiple times as we go through this week. And we could be threatening some daily records here. So 101 is the record for Friday, and that is the forecast. 100 is the record for Saturday, and that is the forecast. 100 is the record for Sunday, and 101 is the forecast. By the way, the record for Monday is 102, so I think we could threaten at least 103 records as we go through this heat stretch. And by the way, the hottest temperature ever recorded in the city of Denver is 105 degrees, which has happened 5 times in history. That is certainly a possibility here. The last time we hit 105 was in 2018. And I remember the forecast was not for 105. It was, I believe it was 103. So if this kind of accelerates and the heat, that high pressure ridge builds even further, we could see some all-time records starting to be broken. So that is your hot forecast that for the heat wave ahead. Hopefully you have plans, and this should alter your plans for what you're doing this weekend, because that heat is going to be absolutely miserable and potentially dangerous in some situations if you're outside for too long. So hopefully that helps you with your planning. Thanks for watching this forecast, and have a great day.